This year, the C in CES might have stood for cars. Everywhere you looked at what's really known as the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, there were automobiles. From fancy new dashboard technology such as LETV's redesigned Aston Martin cockpit to ambitious prototypes of electric vehicles like Faraday Future's concept car. Traditional automakers such as Ford and Toyota were here in force.
We were the first automaker to come to CES back in 2007, and let's just say we got questions of, you're an automaker, right? Why are you here? And if you fast forward to today, 9 years later, it's one of the biggest presents here. And for us, I think it really highlights the transition that we're making from being an auto company to an auto and a mobility company.
The most exciting yet challenging new technology on show here is autonomous driving. Last month, Ford was granted a license to test its driverless cars on the public roads of California, and Mr. Fields said this week that it plans to triple the size of its fleet, although the Ford chief executive dodged questions about rumours that it would announce a tie-up with Google to build autonomous cars together.
We work with a lot of different companies. I mean, we talked today about how we're working with Amazon and DJI, which is a maker of professional-grade drones. And there's been some speculation out there, but I think, as you can appreciate, those conversations remain private for competitive reasons, and we're not going to comment on the speculation. And the key is racking up the miles, 3D mapping the areas, and we're just going to build on that 10 years of progress, and we're expanding the fleet now because our goal, very simply, is to get to what we call a level 4 autonomous vehicle, which is in a defined area. The driver will not have to be prepared to step in.
To see the current state of the art of autonomous driving, I took a ride around Las Vegas with auto component supplier Delphi in an Audi that it had kitted out with sensors, cameras and wireless connections. As well as detecting what was going on around it using image recognition and radar, the vehicle was also able to communicate with other cars and even road infrastructure like traffic lights. So it knew exactly what was around the corner, and it could warn the driver when he needed to take back control.
So you kind of take all of the inputs from the different sensors and you are doing multiple path predictions forward. So just in case this happens, I've already calculated the path, I already know what I'm going to do. So most of the time you don't need that, but when something unusual happens, you've already done the path prediction, you've already taken that computational power and put it to use, and the car's ready to react instantly. So at the end of the day, the car's never distracted, even if the driver is.
While people in both Silicon Valley and Detroit agree that autonomous driving will be technically possible in just a few years, the commercial and legal models are still to be figured out.
Clearly cost is going to be a factor here. The lower we can make the cost, the higher the performance, the faster it's going to see consumer acceptance, right? Nobody likes to see the price of a car go up, but they are willing to pay more. Consumers are willing to pay more for safety in the vehicle, and particularly safety that has a significant impact on accident statistics, which many of these building blocks are already having that impact today on the roads. We like to think of it as 80% of the safety improvement for 20% of the cost of a fully automated car. But some of those building blocks are radar, it's the vision system, it's the LiDAR systems, for example, and vehicle to vehicle, which is one of the things that we're highlighting here, the vehicle to everything communication opportunity there. Vehicle to vehicle, we believe, will be mandated by the U.S. government this year. We think it'll actually go to law this year. I would expect an announcement any time coming out of NHTSA and the Department of Transportation in terms of the proposed rulemaking. Have to have a comment period, and then by the end of the year, they'll have made a specification. It's likely something like by 2020, every car in the United States will have to have vehicle-to-vehicle communication.
I don't necessarily think there has to be regulation around it, but the key there is working with our other players in the market, working with regulators, working with the legal community, et cetera, because we're going to have to come to, I think, some standards around that, and we're going to have to do that together.
Consensus may be difficult given there are already tensions between the tech companies and the car companies. Toyota this week decided to use Ford's software for connecting smartphones to dashboards, going with its car industry rival in a snub to Apple's CarPlay and Google's Android Auto.
We view it as a community that we are collaborating with and participating in, and in some cases we'll be partners, in other cases we could be actually competitors, but that's okay because that's the way particularly Silicon Valley works.
This is Tim Bradshaw with the Financial Times in Las Vegas.